how do you explain physical intimacy to your children? This is an important question, and I mean, when we become parents, so what do you think? How did
Well, so far I only have a 2-year-old and a like 6-month-year-old. So I've not actually had to explain it to my children yet. But it's something I guess I've read a lot about and heard a lot about, and I've spent time with missionary families who take their faith seriously. And I think it does start right from what they say is you don't like have the sex talk. It's more like a series of talks that you build one on each other. So it's not like, okay, you never talk about any of this stuff. Then suddenly when they're 12 years old or 13 years old, suddenly you have this talk and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this stuff exists. It's so disgusting. Instead of that, you sort of model, first of all, what a healthy sexual and romantic relationship looks like. Obviously, you're not going to go into details when they are very young, but you want their idea of sex and like any kind of physical intimacy to be seen as belonging in the context of a happy marriage, right? And so one of the things is for make sure that you have a good and happy and a healthy and a solid marriage. And even things like you're not going to the whole sex area, but just like physical intimacy of just like kissing and hugging and holding hands, like they see that between their own parents and they're like, hey, this is good, like this is something normal, it's not something weird or icky. So it becomes like a normal thing for them, and then little by little to be able to start talking about God's plans, the deeper meaning of things, why we do what we do. And even in general, that our bodies, the things that we do with our bodies have meaning, that it's not just random, it's not just selfish. It's not supposed to be just to get something, and that goes to so many different, like exercise or, just like don't hit your sister, whatever. But basically talking about the meaning of our bodies. I think what might be helpful is also when you watch movies together, sort of maybe talking to them, processing about like why people did what they did. Should they have done that? Was that really a good, rather than just like sort of banning all secular movies. I feel like it's healthier to help kids to process, and I think that's what I did from a fairly young age, was like just thinking about like, okay, like, oh, I don't want that for myself, like, and so it was things that built up slowly, and also to have good open lines of communication where they feel comfortable asking you questions. I wasn't actually comfortable asking my parents because I think most of us were not. You feel like it's something weird and and I want to try to make sure that my children know that they can. If the question is in their mind, even a small question, that they feel very comfortable to just sit and talk it over with me and with my husband. So I guess making sure that you have that good line of communication, and then things will come up, right? It's going to come up like, oh, someone did this in class, or I saw this in a movie, or what does this mean, and just helping them to process it all in God's beautiful plan, right? To say like, some people don't understand the plan and they hurt each other, but God has such a good and holy and happy plan, and so even sometimes we might make mistakes, and people do make mistakes, but God gives us forgiveness and mercy, and to try, so not just sort of black and white, those are the bad people, we are the good people, but helping them to understand God's beautiful plan for sexuality and for,
definitely. Instead of reaching out to the internet, they could, if you build that friendship with them and the openness, they could reach out to their parents. So